We got a super interesting one today, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to more esports talk. Do any of you remember the time that Mark Cuban came out and talked against the investing into esports organizations? It was actually pretty viral, not on this channel alone. Actually, many channels out there covered his interview as well, as you can see, where he came out and said esports org investments are certainly questionable, not ones he would advise. I guess to give him more credit as well, in the additional parts of the interview, he does talk about how when it comes time for esports investments, the Asian market had piqued his interest as a more viable option. When it comes time for other regions and especially investing in esports orgs, he was not so favorable towards that. And so when it comes time for a guy to judge esports investments and then to make some very curious choices, that's where I have to question it. Now, let me also preface by saying when it comes time for the amount of money we're going to be talking about in today's episode, it means nothing to Mark Cuban. On top of that, when it comes time to the companies in esports which he has invested in, he likely does not make their choices for them. But it's super weird to me to see a guy like Mark Cuban criticize esports investments whilst allowing his own esports investments to make these choices. If you guys are unaware, he's actually tied to a couple things out there. His larger investment being Mavs Gaming for the NBA 2K League, which many NBA owners are actually tied to having 2K esports teams as well. That's his bigger investment. One of his other ones is actually tied to the Unicorn betting site, also does esports news. Not too frequently, but he's actually heavily invested into them alongside Ashton Kutcher, who supposedly together combined putting millions of dollars, maybe up to millions of dollars into the company itself. And now Unicorn is spending 50 grand to find a streamer. They actually ran this competition over the past few months. They have now solidified their winner and will be paying him $50,000 to stream on Twitch. And if you guys do not know, it's actually a Twitch streamer known as Taibu. Sorry if I did mispronounce that. And albeit, I'm not trying to criticize the streamer, okay? I'm just saying it's very weird for me to see that Mark Cuban criticizes esports investments, and then one of his bigger esports investments goes and spends $50,000 on a streamer that I would assume many of you guys probably have never heard of. He actually currently holds 3,500 followers on Twitch and has now actually won the competition, which ironically enough, his main game or one of them is also 2K, and he comes from a collegiate basketball background. If you guys don't know, Mark Cuban's the owner of the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA. So seems to be a bit of a connection there. And again, albeit super cool, super sick to see this guy freak out because he is now going to be paid, I believe, for the next 6 months, $50,000 to be streaming for Unicorn, who, by the way, is also tied to Unicorns of Love, which I've already questioned in the past. Any CSGO fans know that UOL is actually a very questionable organization with some of the players and some of the moments they've had in esports. And they're also not even a top-tier esports organization, have not participated in a top-tier esport at the top level of any esport since their departure from League of Legends at the top level. They do still have a team, but nothing like they used to be. And so I begin to question Mark Cuban's choices, and I'm not trying to piss the guy off. I'm just trying to make a string of connections when you come out and actually judge esports org investments, which, by the way, pissed off a guy like Ocelot, and then you're tied to your other esports investments who are making these choices, spending $50,000 on an unknown Twitch streamer, of course, running the entire giveaway as well for this. It seems like a weary investment. They're tied to Unicorns of Love. Also seems to be a bit of a questionable choice as well. But again, at the end of the day, when it comes time for if this investment means really much to Mark Cuban, no, the money probably means nothing. And also on top of that, he probably does not have a hand in the choices that they do make. Although it is a bit curious that the same streamer that won the competition also plays 2K and also comes from a college basketball background or a basketball background in general, which Mark Cuban obviously has ties to. It seems a bit odd. Either way, what do you guys think about this? Mark Cuban continues his run alongside the likes of many unknown names out there. Whenever we cover these kind of stories, it also unravels all the things that I already knew but kind of forgot about. The fact that Ashton Kutcher is also involved in esports investments. What do you guys think about this one? Unicorn alongside UOL, one of their investors being Mark Cuban, have now invested $50,000 into a pretty much unknown Twitch streamer. Seems like a pretty questionable investment to me. Still happy for the guy. Always going to be breaking down esports and gaming news here on this channel every single day. Until next time, take care. Ta-ta.